Scroll through your phone right now. You probably have hundreds of contacts, maybe thousands of followers. You can message any of them in seconds. It feels limitless. But your brain disagrees. Your brain thinks you only have about 150 friends, not contacts, not followers, friends. And that number isn't a guess. It's a biological limit, hardwired into your skull, that hasn't changed in 200,000 years. Here's where it comes from, and why it might be running your social life without you noticing. In the 1990s, a British anthropologist named Robin Dunbar was studying primate brains, specifically the neocortex, the layer responsible for complex thought. Dunbar noticed something strange. The bigger a species' neocortex relative to its whole brain, the larger its social group tended to be. Why would brain size predict group size? Because relationships are expensive to maintain, not physically, mentally. Your brain has to track who someone is, how they feel about you, and how that shifts over time. Multiply that across every person you know. That's a lot of ongoing math. Dunbar mapped this pattern across dozens of primate species. Then, he used it to predict the ideal group size for humans. The number he landed on was 150, not 100, not 200, 150, give or take. It's now called Dunbar's number. Once published, researchers checked it against real human societies, and it kept showing up. Hunter-gatherer clans often capped out around 150 before splitting apart. Neolithic farming villages tended to settle near the same size. Even the Roman military built its basic fighting unit, the century, to hold roughly 100 to 150 soldiers, small enough for everyone to actually know each other. The pattern doesn't stop there. Companies often struggle to maintain informal trust once they cross roughly 150 employees. Past that point, rules replace personal relationships. Even on social media, where you might follow thousands of accounts, studies on reciprocal interaction find stable clusters hovering close to the same number. But here's the twist. Dunbar's number was never meant to describe your entire social world. It's just one layer of it. Later research revealed something like nested circles, radiating outward from you. At the center sits your support clique, roughly 5 people, the ones you'd call in a genuine crisis. Beyond that, your sympathy group, about 15. Close friends, but not emergency close. Beyond that, a group of around 50, casual friends you'd invite to something big. And finally, the outer edge, 150. Everyone you could have a real conversation with if you ran into them unexpectedly. Past that boundary, something shifts. Relationships become more categorical than personal. You start relating to people as roles instead of individuals. The co-worker from another department. The friend of a friend from one party. Your brain doesn't have the bandwidth to track everyone past that line. This gets uncomfortable when you think about modern life. You might have 3,000 online connections, but your brain is only doing the deep relational work for about 150 of them at most. The rest sit in a kind of social fog, technically connected, functionally distant. Some researchers push back on this, and it's worth taking seriously. Digital communication doesn't work exactly like face-to-face contact did for our ancestors. But a study involving Dunbar himself found that people's active online networks, meaning who they actually message in a given month, still cluster close to the original number. The tool changed. The underlying limit apparently didn't. Other critics argue the number oversimplifies a messier relationship between brain size and behavior, and that culture and personality shift the real figure from person to person. That's fair. Human connection resists tidy math. But even skeptics tend to agree on the deeper point. Your capacity for real connection isn't infinite. It's bounded in a way that predates smartphones, cities, and civilization itself. Think about what this meant for your ancestors. For most of human history, you lived inside a group roughly this size. You knew everyone. Everyone knew you. Reputation wasn't abstract. It was survival currency. cheat someone, and the group knew by nightfall, help someone, and that generosity eventually rippled back because the network was small enough for trust to actually be tracked. That's the world your brain evolved to navigate, a village of familiar faces, not an endless, scrollable crowd. So why does this matter now, staring at a screen full of more human faces than your ancestors saw in an entire lifetime? Because the mismatch between your evolved wiring and your modern environment might explain feelings you've had but never named. The exhaustion after a day of notifications that never feel like real connection. The strange loneliness that creeps in while surrounded by hundreds of online friends. The relief of one deep conversation compared to 50 shallow ones. Your brain isn't broken. It's running ancient software in an environment it wasn't built for, still trying to build a village out of a world that gave it a city instead. This doesn't mean deleting your accounts or rejecting modern connection. It means noticing where your real social energy belongs. Those 5 people in your innermost circle. Those 15 just beyond them. They're not sentimental categories. They're the architecture your brain has been running on since before agriculture, before cities, before any of this. So, next time your phone buzzes with someone you technically know but don't really know, remember what your ancestors understood instinctively. Connection was never about how many people surrounded you. It was about how many of them actually knew your name and meant it. You might have thousands of contacts glowing on a screen right now, but somewhere underneath all that noise, your brain is still counting the same way it always has, quietly keeping track of the handful of people who actually matter.